just want to let you know where I come from, what kind of areas of my expertise are. The things that I know a lot about has to do with either military social work, VA social work in the public health service, or work in healthcare. That's kind of where I have been in my career. And as she mentioned, we had one individual that pursued on a military career in social work. And so that is an option out there. But those are the kind of things that I've been involved with for a long time. I'm very involved with the Society for Social Work Leadership and Healthcare, a national organization of social workers in healthcare. Served on their board for 2 years, and now I'm on their foundation board. So I keep my fingers in that. I'm on their membership marketing committee. I'm involved with a lot of kind of things. I'm on the NASW Virginia board. So I keep my fingers in social work so I can keep what's going on in the field and know what's going on, because I still live and breathe and eat social work. I also do some part-time teaching. I'm on a faculty position out there at Valley Forge. In fact, Dr. Meyer, who's the president, I'm his delegate representing him and that university. That's another rule. I kind of took that off, and now I'm putting this back on. So I was representing the president of Valley Forge in some of the kind of things that were happening last night and today. So you just give you an idea where I've got my fingers in a lot of different kinds of things, doing things, you know. And when I think you can do well in social work, you can be successful in social work and have a lot of fun in social work doing those kind of things. So I want to just kind of share with you, that's where we're at. So I want to talk a little about some of the things that have been going on and are presently going on in healthcare. The first beginning of talk about social insurance goes back to Theodore Roosevelt. So that goes back almost 100 years. But when you take a look at the countries over in Europe, they were developing healthcare and social insurance programs in the 1800s, in the 1900s, and just around 2000. Beginning of, and the United States was far behind. In 1935, we had the monumental social legislation that happened with Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and that was, what was 1935? You would say? Social Security Act, okay? And that happened because of what happened in 1929, when we had the stock market that, okay? And we were dealing with the private sector trying to take care of everything. They couldn't do it. There's just no way that they could handle it. So FDR came in 1932, and he started bringing in some more legislative programs. He also hired some social workers. Harry Hopkins came down from New York, headed up the Federal Employment Relief Organization. So he was the first kind of president to bring some real social workers into the federal government. That's really a milestone in our history regarding legislation affecting meeting the needs of people. But something was missing from the 1935 Social Security Act, and had to be with health care. Comprehensive health care that was for the elderly was not included in the Social Security Act. Politically, the reason why, AMA didn't want it. It didn't happen until 1965. We got a piece of healthcare legislation. What was the name of that healthcare legislation? What's 65 healthcare legislation? Give me a guess? What kind of healthcare legislation happened in 1965? Medicare, right. So it took from 35 to 65 to get health care. There was a block, okay? And we didn't have all-inclusive, comprehensive health care legislation like they had over in Europe. The first president that was really pushing what I would call more or less national health insurance was Bill Clinton. This was about 1993, okay? I happened to be the chief or director of social work at the Kansas City VA at that time, and someone came around to Kansas City and did a whirlwind tour to advertise and kind of sponsor his healthcare program. Who do you think that was? 1993, Bill Clinton. Who was his lead for?
They were still in diapers.
Can you guess who it? You ever heard somebody called Hillary Clinton?
Yes.
Hillary? Hillary? Now, that's a long time ago. I'm just kind of giving you that. So the first president that really was advocating for national health care was Bill Clinton. And who does he put in charge of that? Was his wife. Were they successful? Nada. Nope. It didn't happen. Didn't happen. But I'm just giving you where we were coming from, okay? And but we're making some movements with talking about it, okay? And in 2010, we have some legislation that passes. During the administration of President Obama. Do you know what legislation that happened in 2010? What healthcare legislation that passed then? ACA, what someone said Affordable Health Care Act, right? ACA. Most people now call it Obamacare, okay? But that is kind of, it took us like 50 years to get where we're at, okay? Now, I want to give you some of the, I teach a course in policy, and I can look at what happened. In 1965, when they passed Medicare, it was passed with a bipartisan vote. That means they had some Democrats and they had some Republicans. The political mistake, the policy decision they made in 2010 is that it was a straight line vote by only Democrats. The House and the Senate both were at that point in time all Democratic. President was Democrat, so he just whoosh. But did he have any commitment from the Republicans? No, because none of them voted for it. Now, if you listen to what's going on in terms of healthcare policy now, this is a big, big issue. And in this election that's happening in a month, could be some major changes. So I just don't know where, it's going to, you got to look at the political framework and where it's going to happen, okay? Right now, the House is Democratic. The House is Republican, because that changed over in 2012. And we find that the Senate is basically Democratic. Now, what happens if we have a preponderance or the majority of the Senate becomes Republican? We're probably going to keep a Republican House and have a Republican. This is going to be real tough for President Obama, because they're talking a lot about getting rid of ACA. So you're going to watch in the next year some very interesting things going on with healthcare policy here in the United States. So I'm just kind of tuning you up to keep your eyes and your ears open. You're living kind of like where we're at in 1935, okay? This is real world change happening, okay? I listened to a lot of the politics. I live in DC, and I think that it's about last I heard, is a 59% chance that the Senate is going to go Republican. And you'd be surprised the number of states that are changing. Anyway, a lot of things going on right now. So I'm concerned about where that's all going to happen. And if I had been Obama, I would have tried to get some of the Republicans to support this act so we would have had a more bipartisan, okay, like they did in 1965. Okay? Who was the president in 1965 when Medicare was passed? He also was the president when we had the Voting Rights Act, when we had the Equal Rights Act. Roosevelt's 1930s. This is 1965. Who is the president? LBJ. LBJ is Lyndon Baines Johnson, okay? So, War on Poverty. It was a great time. I hate to give history, but people think I'm ancient. But you're going to think I'm ancient anyway. I was in graduate school when Martin Luther King was assassinated, okay? Now, what do you think social workers in graduate school were thinking? They were very proactive. We were the social activists. We were into people out there really working issues, kind of things like that. We were the Jane Addams, okay? So I was doing those kind of things, you know, and the 60s was a real imprint of progressivism that happened. And now we're seeing some changes happen now. I'm just concerned about where this is all going to go. So I want to talk to you about some of the positives, some of the things that, what's happened up to now, you know, up through November, the close off of ACA. And at that point in time, in November, the number of people on that were without health insurance reduced from 17% to 13%. So we're moving in the right direction. And we're getting now literally millions of people that are uninsured are getting health insurance, okay? And those people that are getting on health insurance, most of them are getting a subsidy of about $200 or $300 based on the formula to be involved with getting their health insurance. About half of the people have no premiums, okay? But I want to give you a little bit of the realism. When you increase health care for everyone else, you have to do some way pay for it, okay? And how do you pay for that? We call that cost redistribution, okay? So I think one of the things that might be happening is maybe some people are going to have to pay more for the health insurance than they did in the past. Now, do you think the Republicans are going to make some hay about that one? That's some of the problem I'm talking about, okay? That we're going to see some issues, and look at the people that are in the House and the Senate. I agree, we're making some changes, but still 80% of the Senate looks like me, okay? We have 20% of the Senate now are females, okay? That's a move in the right direction. I'm talking about the people that write the laws, whatever, okay? You gotta look at, and we have a social work caucus, okay? You believe it, there are social workers that are in Congress. The senator from Michigan and the senator from Maryland are MSWs. And the senator from Maryland is the longest, I think she's been in the Senate longer than any other senator that's female. So she's got some history, you know. So I'm talking about some people that know the thing, they're out there working some of these kind of issues and know them. But there still is a power base there that I think we're gonna have to deal with that doesn't understand and doesn't have appreciation. 50% of the states have gone with Medicare expansion. 50% have not. You know what Medicare expansion is? That's taking Medicare and extending it. Obama, in his proposal ACA, he said to expand the program with more services, they would pay 90% of the dollars, okay? But 50% of the states wouldn't pick that up.
Missouri's one of them.
Okay? Why do you think half of those states wouldn't do it? Do you think their governor was a Republican or a Democrat? Republican, that's right. That's right.
Not even supposed to be here.
But that's what's happening. You see where this is getting involved? Okay? So I live in Virginia, and we have a Senate that is Republican. So even though we got elected a governor who is Democrat, he can't do a Medicare expansion because the Senate in Virginia will not pass it.
Same thing here.
So, you're getting a policy issue, but you need to understand these kind of issues. Think, Mary Richmond, Jane Addams, these are the kind of things that Jane Addams was talking about way back in the 1800s, okay? And we're still seeing these kind of issues. And you are part of it. You're going to see it. I want to share with you a couple things. Last week, there was a press release put out by NASW, CSWE, and SSW-LHC. Well, let's just see if you know the numbers. What is NASW? You know that one, pass, okay? CSWE. What? Council on Social Education. I'll give you a help because most of you don't know about the Society of Social Work Leadership Healthcare. That's my organization. The three of them went together, put together a press release and working together. And we're working with the Obama administration to begin to do some things on ways that we can get more people signed up for ACA. Okay? So the new enrollment period for ACA opens on November 15th. Okay? And it goes up through February the 15th. Why does the Obama administration want to reach out to social workers? Here, I'm just going to give you some quotes. Many of the people currently uninsured come in contact with social workers, such as ethnic minorities, immigrants, those under the age of 35, and those with limited incomes. You are out there on the battlefront with these people that need to get into these kind of programs, okay? So that's the reason why this is the administration reaching out to us and talking about us being social workers. And I want to tune in a little bit to CSWE. Now that's the accrediting organization. And the current executive CEO of CSWE is Darla Spence Coffey. Just a sidelight, Darla and the new administrator of NASW are going to be at NACSW.
I heard about that.
And we're going to have a forum
Yes.
of all three organizations together, okay? I'm very proud because I was a part of the planning committee to kind of bring those folks in. They're also going to come to the educators forum. Darla is. So I'm just saying that we're a player working on things there, and I just want to let you know kind of where organization is going. And I'm happy to see NACSW, Christian social workers, in association with some of the other major players like NASW and CSWE. Okay? Well, anyway. This is comments by Darla Coffey, the president and CEO, said, eager to work with CMS, that's the government, they're to help engage social work students in healthcare coverage. This is Darla talking, Ms. Coffey, Dr. Coffey. Because social work students gain their field education in a variety of settings, I view the role of social work in this as pivotal to ensuring the aims of ACA. Coffey said, the training involved in becoming a certified application counselor components complements the generalist foundation of social work education by focusing on the education and empowerment of consumers to make the best choices for them and their families. So the head of the accreditation body of CSWB is saying it's part of our initiative, our reason for being is to do these kind of things, okay? So as you are moving forward, keep this aware. If you can, if you're in a field practicum, maybe make them aware of this. You can become trained as a one of the individuals. They call it certified application counselor.
Yep.
So I'm saying that this, I shared with her that I was going to do this, but I think that this, when you got somebody like this saying, you got NASW, and you got the society, and you got CSW all kind of together, it's time for us to take a look. What we're doing is trying to get people who do not have access to health care to know about it, because many of them don't know about these kind of programs. So look at these options, and I just leave you with that kind of mandate. I think that they're expecting that we'll be probably being able to double the number of people on ACA by the end of this closing period, which will go from the next 6 months or so. So hoping that, and I really think, even making a man of prayer, that we will be able to concentrate on the need and not on the fact that a few people had glitches in getting on health care, that the prices go up. Because the reality is that individuals like myself probably going to have to pay more for health care, okay? You know, talking about cost redistribution? I deal with the real world, letting you know. Right now, 50% of Americans pay taxes, and 50% of Americans don't pay taxes. And I bet you almost 100% of you don't pay any taxes. The reason for it is we call the earned income tax credit, okay? So when you file your income tax, if you have a low income, what happens? Uncle Sugar, he just gives it all back to you, okay? You filed income tax, but what happens because of that, you're getting it back. That don't happen with me. You know, I'm just telling you where it's at, okay? You need to know about some of these things, and just like we had the social action folks of Jane Addams going, we need to continue that kind of fervor, that kind of intent, and we don't want to put the word Christian ahead of social work, because I think they meld and work together, okay? And I hope that you'll see this as a calling, as a ministry, and maybe even going in a way of being a missionary. Why can't we see social workers going out to India, working with some of the needs there that they have Project Rescue? Dr. Beth Grant doing some great job. Why couldn't you join Beth Grant in Project Rescue and be a part of the team and have a social worker over there doing some of the things? You all know what Project Rescue is? Okay. Why not? Why not sign up to do something like that, okay?
They met Emily.
Okay. Okay, right. Emily was a student here. I had the opportunity to help Emily go through, and it's nice to see somebody like that. You can be the next Emily Griswold or whatever. I'm just saying that you may do great in social work. You may want to combine it, do short missions trip. Who knows where the Lord's going to lead you in your life, okay? And I just want to make you aware of the opportunities there. You can do well in social work. You don't have to live in poverty, you know? You need to be smart. You need to look at getting your education. I tell everybody, look at getting your MSW, getting to advanced standing. Who's the young lady that went to UMKC? Taylor. Taylor was here last year. Talked to her. encouraging her, and she's got an advanced standing program. And I just talked to her a few minutes ago. She's going to be an MSW in just a few months. Think ahead. Like Dr. Carol Taylor says, have a vision. Think about advancing yourself. Do not stop at the BSW. It's very difficult if you don't move on. And if you do well, there's no reason why you can't, in 12 months, get an advanced standing and be an MSW. And you're setting yourself much quicker in your career. I was 21 when I had my MSW, or maybe it was 22. I went straight through, okay? I knew where I was going, and I was glad I did that because I had the focus, knew where the Lord was leading me in my direction. So, the sooner you get back, because it's easier to build on it once you got there, because if you have your MSW, you've got the building, then you were talking about going to get the LCSW. You know what LCSW is? Licensed Clinical Social Work. Got to have 2,000 hours or 3,000 hours. Each state's a little bit different. And then pass the licensure. So, you got to meet the kind of credentials, but you can have success. So anyway, I guess I'll just open it up to a few questions. I enjoy visiting with you, talking with you, and just kind of sharing my heart. And my wife and I are just pleased to be able to help some of you. And by side this week, of course, we know we have also an endowed scholarship. We've had this almost 20 years here now. So we started a long time ago, and we just doing that to kind of encourage you and keep the faith. Any questions you have? Yeah.
What's some advice you have for doing your practicum at the VA at the master's level?
Money.
Yeah.
I had every VA I was at. I had stipends, and so they're one of the few places that even through the retrenchment of things kept that. I'm just being that you're looking at that, right? Okay. Now it was competitive, but I think if you're interested in healthcare, that's a great opportunity to take a look at because there's one of the few places out there you can get a paid stipend, so that if you got that plus advanced standing, you're going to be well prepared to move on to. Look at the hospitals where they're located at, where you get your MSW programs. Most of the major hospitals have anywhere from 3 to 5 to 7 stipends that they can give. I think we had about 5 in Kansas City. So we gave them out, and most of them went to either KU or MU, because those were the close schools that we had around. But it's another opportunity, and if you're interested in the military, don't forget they're going to pay you to get your MSW. So it's just an option to get out there. Public health service is also interesting. I started my career in the public health service out on an Indian reservation. Okay? And you got a public health service hospital right here in Springfield, okay? And there are a couple MSWs over there that were Evangel students, right? Okay? I'm just saying that there's options out there, and you can do good. And in the VA, you'll come in as a GS9 and get something maybe in the low 40s. 1 year later, you go from 9 to 11, and you're going up to just about 50,000. When I retired, and I was 7, 8 years ago from the VA, there were 5,000 social workers in the VA nationwide. Do you know what there is today? 12,000. 98% of them are MSW. Hear that? MSW? Not BSW, MSW. Remember, in 12 months after you graduate, you can be an MSW too, okay? Okay? And there's, because of all this things going on with the VA, they just went out and said in the latest Healthcare Act, they're going to give the VA opportunity to hire another 10,000 healthcare. Now, if we could just get another 500, another 1,000 social workers, all that, wouldn't that be nice? maybe go from 12,000. They're the largest hiring authority of social workers in the United States. I guess I'm a little biased because I went there, I retired there. It was very good to me. Even if you just say as a clinical social worker, you can go all the way from step 1 to step 10 and do very well with the VA. So those are options that are out there. If you want to talk with me individually, I can give you that, but I'm a good salesman for those kind of things because they are successful. You have to be an LCSW, you have to move on. That's where you got to credentialize yourself. You got to get qualified, okay? You're starting off at a CSW accredited school. That's the first route. And you got a great professor going to prepare you well. So you can get into that MSW program and move on. Okay, any other questions? Yeah.
I have one concerning the ACA. When you're talking about a reality of it is that some people will have to pay more for healthcare. And in my interactions, I've heard a lot of people complain about that, and that's the reason why they don't like it. So I just wanted your opinion as a social work and a Christian perspective. How is it that you've been at peace with that? Have you accepted it as this is the way this act works and this is the direction the country's moving in?
I guess I feel that some sacrifice has to come. You know, if you look at the tax rate on pre-Reagan, we had a tax rate that was up around 80 or 90%. So that, you know, historically, the tax rates it just dived down. So we are demanding less and less and less for our most wealthy. And if you've ever seen some of these scales of who has the wealth in the United States, about 10% of the people own about 6% of the wealth. So there's a lot of folks out there. Now, there's no magic in that, but I'm just saying that they can afford it, and we need to look at readjusting some of our tax rates. They're very, very reasonable compared to where we had in the past. And I think it makes sense to ask them to pay a little bit more, because if you're making $1 million and your tax rate is 40%, well, if you make it 50%, instead of paying tax of $400,000, you're paying $500,000. You just lost $100,000. You know, so yeah, that's my rationale. Obviously, some people don't see it quite different, but you know, I think that's an issue that you have to deal with. Other questions? Well, I guess we're getting down to the end. So I want to just thank you for the opportunity to be back here again and visit with you. How many of you were here when I was here a year ago? Okay, so you and I have seen each other. I just like to give you a little bit of information to let you know. If you have any questions, you can send me an email. If you want one of my business cards, I'll give you that. I'm here to kind of help you be able, you know, wherever your career is going. If you have any of the areas that I call my areas of expertise, I'd be willing to do that. So I wish you the best. Continue on, keep studying hard so you can get your BSW here and be really thinking about that MSW. Really think about that MSW.